Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I got my check yesterday. The last time I was at the bank and I was opening my business account and I was talking to the manager, the branch manager, they were saying something about, I didn't know exactly what he was saying, but when I was talking to him, I was telling him that one of the things that really kind of bugged me is that when I deposit a check, I need to wait 3 days for it to get into my account. And he was telling me something about an instant deposit or something like that. I don't remember exactly. He was telling me something. But this time, yesterday, I deposited my check last night, and this morning I woke up and the check had already cleared. And so I guess they got my account set up so that when I deposit money, the deposit is instantaneous. And so this morning, I officially cleared all of my debt. The only debt that I have left over is on my grain drill. And I owe about $4,000 a month, or $4,000 on my grain drill. But the thing about my grain drill is that I only pay $68 a month for it. I got a 6-year loan on it for like 3% interest. And so I pay $68 a month for it. And I owe about $4,000 on that, about $4,800 or something like that on that grain drill. But I only pay $68 a month for it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pay that off quite yet. I'm just going to hold on to the money. So I have officially gotten myself to the point where I have paid off all of my cattle debt. I've paid for the corn already. The corn that I have in the shipping container right now, I've paid for all of that. The 12 rolls of soybean hay that I have sitting in my front yard, I paid for all of that. Everything. I have almost $800 worth of corn stock hay sitting on the front yard. I've paid for all of that. I paid for everything. I've paid for all of my cattle, and I've officially put $3,035 in my bank account. And I still have these animals that need to go to market. So when these animals go to market, I'll probably end up with about somewhere around 25. I've been averaging about $1,800 an animal. So when I sell one of these animals, I'll average somewhere around $1,600 to $1,800 on one of these the black-hided just a decent commodity type animal. I've been averaging $1,600-$1,800 on one of these plainer animals. Maybe I do actually the other animal that I sold that looked like this, I only got $900 for him. But this one, this little calf right here, he looks better than the other one by a little bit. So maybe I get $1,000 on him. But the rest of them, I'll be making about $1,600-$1,800. Like an animal like this, I'm gonna make good money on an animal like that. On an animal like that one over there, little guy over there in the corner, I'm gonna make a lot of money on that. You know, I'm gonna make a lot of money on him. And so I probably have about $25,000 left over. But I've officially got all of my debts paid today. I have I have these apps on my phone, Credit Karma and Credit Sesame, and they give me my TransUnion credit score every single day. My Credit Karma app gives me my TransUnion and my Equifax score every day. So the moment that the credit bureaus have acknowledged that I have paid off all of my debt, I'm going to go and open new credit lines. Right now, my credit is sitting at 733. And here in about 2 weeks, I'll probably go up to about 750. But that's also one of the reasons why I didn't pay off my grain drill, was because if I have a 750 credit score, right, and let's say you know, I've paid off all of my debt, my credit score goes to 755. You know, it's not really going to make a difference that if I pay off my grain drill, my credit score goes to 765. It's not really going to make a big difference, right? 755 and 765 are not going to make that big of a difference. But if I take my credit score, so last month, 3 weeks ago, my credit score was a 650. So I took my credit score from 650 to about 755 in 1 month. And that's going to make a big difference for me. And so, and also when I go to the bank this time and I show them, hey, you know, I made $32,000 last month, and this month I've already made, you know, well, here in about 2 weeks I'll probably take another lot of animals to the market. and I'll let them know, hey, you know, I still got another 16 animals, so I still have another month's worth of animals I need to go to the market. So, you know, I may end up making another $32,000 again this month. And you know, if they see that I'm depositing $64,000, if they see that I'm depositing $32,000 a month, they'll look at me differently. They'll look at me and they'll go, dang, you know, even the branch manager probably does not make money like that. Even the manager for the bank probably does not make $32,000 a month. And so if they see someone like me walk into that bank and they look through my account and they say, dang, this guy puts 30 grand into his bank account a month, and he talking about he gonna do this again and he needs a loan. You know, because when people see the money, it's different, right? You know, I always say you got to rely on you know, don't put yourself in this mental death loop where you've dug yourself into a hole where it's nothing is possible, and you know, just take a good look at what's going on. But that's money. You know, money's very objective. You know, if I say I make $32,000 a month, my bank account is gonna show $32,000 a month, right? It's not like some subjective thing. It's not like, oh man, you know, I feel like I make $32,000 a month. Oh man, well, you know, it's not a feeling. It's very objective. If I make $32,000 a month, I'm gonna be putting $32,000 a month into my bank account. I mean, the numbers are gonna be there. And so when I show up to the bank and I say, hey, you know, I've paid back all of my debt. I got a 755 credit score. My income skyrocketed since last year. I've made $32,000 a month for this month and last month, and I need a line of credit so that I can do it again, so I can operate my business again. The bank, they'll look at me differently, because the money is objective. Money is objective, right? It's not a feeling. It's not subjective. It's none of that. It's 100% objective. Either I have the money or I don't. And that's the thing about money, that, you know, you know, when I look back at it from now, you know, before I got into all this, there was actually a point in my life a year ago when I had maybe about a year ago, where I had opened up $20,000 worth of credit, and I had collected all this information. I had ran 2 lot of cattle before I had ran this lot of cattle. In my previous 2 lot of cattle, I had collected a lot of information. I had collected a lot of data. And when I had run those 2 lot of cattle and I had gone to the bank and I had opened up $20,000 worth of credit, there was actually one point in my life where I was actually sitting there on the table with $10,000 of cattle that I had just purchased. Things weren't going very well. And I looked at myself and I said, hey man, you know, if things go horribly, if I lose a whole bunch of animals and I don't manage to put weight on these animals, I could actually end up losing $2,000. You know, I could end up doing all this and I could actually go $2,000 in the hole. And you know, when I look back on my life right now, that was a waste of time, because, you know, well, I mean, it's hard. You know, I can't go back in time, right? I can't look at myself and say, hey man, in 1 year you're gonna make 70 grand on these animals. You know, if I had known that, I wouldn't have, you know, I would have just kept going, right? I wouldn't have even taken the time to consider that I would have lost $2,000. But one of the big things was that it's real sad, you know, when a cattleman starts losing his cattle, when his animals start dying. You know, I had 3 or 4 animals die. You know, actually I had another animal die too, but one time I even had animals slip in my barn. It was real wet, and one of the animals, I guess he wasn't feeling real good, and I had given him a shot of antibiotics, and he was laying there in the barn, and another animal had tripped or something over him and landed on top of him and flipped himself over. And I was at work, and when I got home from work and I saw what was going on, I ran over there and I flipped him back over, and I pulled the one from underneath out from underneath the other animal. But those 2 ended up dying and stuff like that, you know. But you know, they're you know, I actually sat there and I was like, man, I could actually end up losing $2,000, you know, on these animals. But now when I look back on it now, and I've made, you know, and I'm sitting here making $60,000 a year, you know, not even 60,000 a year, 60,000 in 6 months, and here, you know, in about 6 months I'll probably make about 60-70,000 again. I probably do about $110,000 to $120,000 a year on my 10 acres, and you know, and so, but I mean, when I wasting that time considering failure, investing my energy into considering failure in the past was a horrible waste of energy. I mean, it was a horrible waste of energy. If I had just focused on doing good, I would have done way better for myself. And so that's one of the things that I've taught myself in terms of a life lesson. Why even consider failure? If I'm gonna do something, go 100%. You know, spend 15 hours a day working, you know, go year round, work 365 days a year. And even, you know, even if it turns into a situation where, you know, for me to make 100 grand, I could end up losing $5,000. Just, you know, invest that energy into making the $100,000 instead of being afraid of losing 5 grand. Because it is okay. So one of the things, you know, if you talk to depending on who you talk to, if someone who tried something and failed miserably, lost, you know, just failed miserably, if you talk to somebody like that, all they're going to tell you is about how they failed, right? But if you talk to somebody who's very successful and found a way to succeed tremendously, they're going to tell you about their successes and how they succeeded. And so, you know, if I were to look on my life right now, you know, putting any energy, if I'm gonna do something, putting energy into thinking that I'm failing or I'm gonna fail is a horrible waste of time. And it's easier, you know, I know that this may be counterintuitive, but it is easier to make a drastic sum of money if you don't have money than it is to, you know, like if I were gonna make a 500% return on my capital, if I were gonna fivefold my money in 1 year, it's easier to do it with 20 grand than it is to do it with 20 million. Like if I were gonna take $20 million and turn it into $100 million in 1 year, it would be much more difficult than if I had $20,000 and if I were gonna try and turn that 20,000 into 100,000. The more money that a person has, the harder it becomes to make a drastic return on it. And so, you know, like if I had lost everything, you know, and I went to zero, probably within 1 month, I would have a 10-acre field again, and I'd be making $110,000 a year again. You know, within 1 month, because I know how to do all of this, and you know, I know how to do this. It's not like some imaginary pie in the sky subjective, oh, I feel like I deserve money. I know how to make money. I go and I get my money. I get a lot of money. You know, here in about 1 year, I'll probably be doing about 40,000 a month. Not 110,000 a year. Not 110,000. I'm talking about 40,000 a month. But the reason I talk like that is because I understand what it took me to make $32,000 in 1 month, 4 months out of the year. I understand deep down. I understand how to make money like that. And so if I want to go from making $32,000 4 months out of the year to making $40,000 a month every month of the year, it's not that big of a jump. And so, you know, making money, it's not, you know, I know it may sound counterintuitive, but the less money that I have, the less risk there is, and the easier it is to make a drastic amount of return. So, you know, like if I were going to take a loan for $20,000 from the bank and I put myself at risk. And also, the thing about risk is that the better that I am at something, the less risk there is, right? And so me honestly, there probably is not much risk for me losing money as long as I do what I know that I'm capable of, and you know, and something horrible does not happen. You know, knock on wood, and just you know. But you know, chances of losing money, very, very, very slim, as long as there was a very good plan. And you know, and even if I take a loan for 20 grand, if I take a loan for 20 grand and I lose all 20 grand, I probably had a horrible plan to begin with. I mean, you know, how could you mess that up so bad? I mean, you know, if you lose all of the bank's money, I mean, you should really think about what you just done, because I mean, you probably had a horrible plan, and I mean, you really don't want to go and lose all of the banker's money. I mean, they're gonna come after you with everything, and you know, they're gonna put liens up on your property and everything. I mean, they will, the bankers, they're gonna get paid. They will come after you if you lose their money. And so, but everybody in business like that, you know, I told myself the only way that I would get into working with a lot buyer is if they wrote a legal contract for me stating exactly what they were gonna do for me, and if they went back on their word, you know, and you know, because let's say I got $80,000 in the bank, right? And I got $80,000 in the bank, and let's say I find out that a lot buyer screwed me over. Well, I would take that legal contract to a lawyer and pay the lawyer, right? Because if I paid the lawyer and I sued the lot buyer, well, you know, and if I can make money on it and I have money sitting in the bank, I do it. And so, you know, I really don't want to do that. And so unless I know somebody, a lot buyer who actually, you know, it does honest work, I mean, I ain't gonna work with them. I mean, not at all. Why? I mean, why would I do that, right? I mean, I ain't in some I ain't here to help lot buyers, you know what I'm saying? That ain't my business. I'm in the business of running cattle. And so that's what I do, and I need to make money, and so it just is what it is. But that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.